Radical responsibility goes beyond simply recognizing our responsibility for our thoughts, actions, and reactions. It is the practice of taking full ownership of all that happens in our lives, from our emotions to our outcomes. While we may not control external events, we always control how we respond to them. This shift in mindset allows us to move from a victim mentality, where we perceive ourselves as helpless, to a creator mentality, where we see ourselves as powerful agents of change. This practice, however, is not about taking on guilt or self-blame. Radical responsibility invites us to understand that while life may sometimes present us with challenging or painful situations, our ultimate power lies in how we choose to react to these situations. It encourages us to respond with mindfulness, self-awareness, and proactive thinking. For instance, when faced with criticism, radical responsibility invites us to explore our own feelings and reactions to the criticism instead of blaming the other person for their harsh words. In doing so, we transform the experience into an opportunity for growth rather than seeing it as an attack. By embracing radical responsibility, we cultivate resilience. We stop waiting for life to get better or for others to change, and instead, we become the change we want to see. The empowerment that comes with this shift can transform not only our own lives, but also our relationships and interactions with others. The evolution of responsibility through human history. Throughout human history, the concept of responsibility has shifted and evolved in response to changing cultural, social, and political forces. In tribal societies, for instance, responsibility was inherently communal. The survival of the group was dependent on each individual fulfilling their role, whether as a provider, protector, or healer. Collective responsibility was the foundation of their existence. The consequences of individual actions directly affected the community, fostering a deep sense of interdependence. In ancient Greek philosophy, thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle emphasized personal virtue and ethical responsibility. For these philosophers, responsibility was about cultivating wisdom, virtue, and self-control for the greater good of society. A responsible person was one who sought knowledge, practiced moderation, and contributed to the flourishing of the community. Eastern philosophies, such as Buddhism and Taoism, expanded on these ideas, placing an emphasis on inner responsibility for one's thoughts and actions. In these traditions, radical responsibility was seen as a path to enlightenment, where the individual takes full responsibility for their inner peace and harmony. In these contexts, responsibility was not just external, but internal as well. People were encouraged to examine their own minds, break free from attachments, and release unhealthy patterns. During the Industrial Revolution and the rise of capitalism, responsibility began to shift more toward the individual. People were expected to succeed or fail based on their own efforts, leading to a heightened sense of individualism. As industrialization took hold, responsibility was tied to economic productivity, and personal achievement became synonymous with self-worth. However, this emphasis on personal success often overlooked the broader social structures that influenced individual outcomes. In the modern era, radical responsibility is evolving to be more inclusive and integrative. It is no longer just about personal success or failure, but about the well-being of the collective, the environment, and future generations. The rise of social justice movements, environmental awareness, and technological advances has broadened the scope of responsibility. Now, responsibility includes our roles in the global community and our ethical obligations toward the planet and other life forms. Looking ahead, the future of radical responsibility could look radically different. As technology advances and the concept of the human family expands with space exploration and global interconnectedness, our understanding of responsibility may evolve. We may see a shift toward collective responsibility, not just for the immediate future, but for the far-reaching consequences of actions on a planetary scale, perhaps even across generations and across planets. The responsibility of today's individuals will likely extend to ethical AI, sustainability in space colonization, and decisions that affect humanity's survival. Recognizing radical responsibility in others. Recognizing radical responsibility in others can be both empowering and transformative. Individuals who embrace this practice are often those who take ownership of their emotions, reactions, and actions. They recognize that their thoughts and behavior are the result of their choices, not the result of external circumstances. These individuals approach challenges with an open mind, taking responsibility for their role in any given situation. In contrast, individuals who resist radical responsibility tend to blame others or external events for their struggles. They might project their frustrations or sense of helplessness onto others, often perpetuating negative cycles in their relationships and personal lives. These people may engage in behaviors like resentment, avoidance, or victimization. Recognizing radical responsibility in others means seeing beyond surface reactions. For instance, when someone reacts with anger or frustration, we can observe whether they are truly taking responsibility for their emotions or projecting them outward. A person practicing radical responsibility may acknowledge their anger and seek to understand its root cause rather than blaming someone else for triggering it. When helping others cultivate radical responsibility, it is crucial to practice compassion. Many people are operating from conditioned behaviors or past traumas, which may make it difficult for them to take responsibility for their reactions. Instead of criticizing them, we can guide them toward greater self-awareness through gentle reflection and encouragement. Ways to help others adopt radical responsibility include leading by example. Show rather than tell how taking responsibility can change your life. Open-ended questions. Ask questions that encourage self-reflection, such as, what part of this situation can you take responsibility for? Encouragement and support. Provide support without rescuing, empowering others to find their own solutions. Setting boundaries. Be clear about your own responsibilities and encourage others to do the same. Focus on agency. Help others see their role in creating positive change rather than focusing on external factors. What radical responsibility is not. Radical responsibility is often misunderstood or misinterpreted. While it emphasizes self-accountability and ownership, it is important to clarify what it is not. Radical responsibility does not mean allowing others to take advantage. Taking responsibility does not mean allowing yourself to be mistreated or manipulated. Setting healthy boundaries is part of radical responsibility. Condoning harmful behavior. It is not about accepting or justifying greed, exploitation, or oppression. Responsibility involves acting in alignment with ethical principles and standing against injustice. Avoiding accountability. Radical responsibility is not about shifting blame onto others or external circumstances, but acknowledging the role you play in all situations, including those outside of your control. Suppressing emotions or pain. It does not mean denying or ignoring your feelings. Radical responsibility involves acknowledging your emotions and using them to guide your personal growth rather than reacting impulsively. Excessive control. It does not mean forcing others to behave in a certain way. It's about taking responsibility for your own behavior and inspiring others to do the same, not controlling others' actions. The psychological and physiological benefits of radical responsibility. Research into the brain and body suggests that radical responsibility has profound psychological and physiological benefits. Taking responsibility for our thoughts and emotions helps rewire the brain, strengthening neural pathways associated with emotional regulation and problem solving. The more we practice self-awareness and self-mastery, the easier it becomes to navigate life's challenges with resilience. Psychologically, radical responsibility helps to reduce anxiety and depression. By taking ownership of our emotional responses, we break free from the cycle of self-blame and externalization, which is often at the root of anxiety and depression. Increase emotional intelligence. Practicing responsibility enhances self-awareness and empathy, leading to more meaningful and compassionate relationships. Promote self-efficacy. People who embrace radical responsibility feel empowered to shape their own destiny, which fosters greater confidence and motivation. Physiologically, it has been shown to lower cortisol levels. By reducing the stress response, radical responsibility helps lower cortisol, a hormone linked to stress and inflammation. Enhance heart rate. Variability. This is an indicator of emotional resilience. The more responsible we feel for our emotions, the more adaptable our body becomes in stressful situations. Strengthen immune function. Chronic stress weakens the immune system, but by cultivating emotional resilience, radical responsibility helps keep our immune function strong. Support neuroplasticity. By embracing accountability, we stimulate neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, improving cognitive flexibility and adaptability. 10 daily practices to cultivate radical responsibility. 1. Morning reflection. Start each day with a moment of mindfulness, reminding yourself that you have the power to shape your experiences and responses today. 2. Mindful pause. Before reacting to any situation, take a deep breath and pause to observe your emotions and thoughts. 3rd, gratitude practice. List 3 things you're grateful for every day, focusing on what you have control over. 4. Self-inquiry. Ask yourself, how can I take responsibility for my thoughts, actions, and emotions in this situation? 5. Conscious communication. When speaking, avoid blaming language. Instead, focus on your own experience and role in the situation. 6. Resilience building. Engage in daily activities that build your emotional resilience, such as journaling, yoga, or meditation. 7. Seek knowledge. Dedicate time to reading or learning about personal growth and responsibility, deepening your understanding of yourself and the world around you. 8. Support, don't rescue. Encourage others to take responsibility for their own problems, offering guidance without taking over. 8. Own your emotions. When feeling triggered, pause and ask yourself what part of your response is within your control. 10th, end-of-day reflection. At the end of each day, reflect on moments where you practiced radical responsibility and where you could improve. Thank you for spending time here at the International World Wisdom Well and learning from this carefully curated audiobook. Cultivating global happiness, well-being, and compassionate wisdom. Inside and out, together. This is a gift from our hearts to yours. Please share with those who may benefit. May we all be well. May we all be happy. Going deep.